This is Firebase. Welcome. I'm your host, Dr. Gary French. Thank you for tuning in this evening. And for those of you that have been so faithful viewing us for so many years and watching so many episodes, I greatly appreciate you. Would you do us a favor that if you're watching us on one of the local television outlets or hearing us on the radio, call the station and let them know how much you appreciate our show. And if you're watching us on social media, be sure to do what everybody on social media asks you to do. Subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and share this with other people. Well, friends, this evening I have a guest coming back that I had recently on the show, and it's Bob Scott. I always like to surround myself by people that I like, and just a secret, I like Bob. Sounds like a TV show. I like Bob. So he's here this evening, and Bob, I want to say welcome. Thank you so much. What have you been up to?
Dr. French, it is my pleasure to once again be on your show. I absolutely love it. And I think you know at least one of the things I've been doing is a new project with WGTK 970 in Louisville, AM Conservative Talk Radio show. I'm doing a couple days a week. I've been fortunate and blessed to have you on a couple times. In fact, I think you definitely have been one of our favorite guests, likewise on our show. So that's going on. Went to the Kentucky State Fair, the final night of it, saw Torrin Wells. It was hot, but boy, it was good. That guy is talented. He's 38. He looks 28. I hate him, but just so anointed, and he's a preacher too. He has a church in Austin, Texas.
Wow.
And my wife is on she co-hosts an AM Christian radio show in the Louisville market. Caroline, it's the Jim and Caroline show. And so they were literally not just physically sweating, but internally they were sweating because Torrin, this is the inside baseball. He preached. This was a Sunday night concert. So he when I say Sunday night, it actually started and kicked off around 6. He had preached 2 sermons that morning in Texas, and then jumped on a private 2-engine, not jet, prop plane and flew in. Well, anyway, to make a long story short, they weren't sure he was going to make it in time. Wow. And the warm-up band, their bus broke down somewhere on its way in. So they had to real quick find another group to come in to perform. And they were great. I mean, it was a local group. I can't think of their name right now, but it was just great. And like I say, Torrin came and just put on a phenomenal concert. And it was just good to be out and have a chance to worship the Lord and really be thankful, for all of God's goodness.
Bob, when I asked you what you was up to, I was hoping you wouldn't say nothing. At least you said I've been up to this and share that.
No,
hey, listen, here's
brother,
what I've been thinking about. I've been thinking about for the program tonight. And folks, just in full disclosure, I want you to know that we don't have anything prepped other than a little short video we want to show you. And listen, I want to remind you this. One of my heroes in broadcasting history in media is the late, great Rush Limbaugh.
Yes.
And he would say that one of the biggest problems facing America today is the low information voter. And I think that's true. We have people that will say they vote, and we don't know if they really do or not. But here's a statistic that I heard over the last presidential election. Some 30 million registered to vote Christians did not even vote. 30 million registered to vote Christians did not vote.
Scary.
And Bob, did you know that there's another 15 million Christians that are not even registered to vote? So that's 45 to 50 million Christians that could affect the outcome of any election. And we Christians have no right to bellyache, because if we don't participate in the ballot, if we don't participate in voting according to biblical values, we will end up with a politician or a governor that does what's like a Texas two-step, and they dance around the issues. Well, most of you friends, if you're my age, you will have seen this very famous movie with Burt Reynolds and Dolly Parton. And Jonathan and I were talking before the program this evening about, we're going to call it the best little escort house in Texas. I didn't want to get into trouble if somebody thought that using the other word. I used that other word in a sermon one time and got the church upset with me because I used a good King James word. Watch this short clip right now.
There he is. Come on, boys. Governor, tell the people, watch your news. Why has the chicken ranch operation been so long ignored?
We should be having some acoustic problems in here.
Aren't you afraid of possible payoffs and bribes?
Melvin? I'm sorry.
Enough of this pussyfooting, Governor. What do you intend to do about Miss Mona and the chicken ranch?
Now, Miss Mona, I don't know her, though I've heard the name, oh yes. But of course I've no close contact. So what she's doing, I can only guess. And now Miss Mona, she's a blemish on the face of that good town. I am taking certain steps here. Someone somewhere's gonna have to close her down.
Do you believe that, man?
Is that a yes or no?
It's possible, maybe.
Ooh, I love to dance a little sidestep. Now they see me, now they don't. I've come and gone. And ooh, I love to sweep around the white step. Cut a little swath and lead the people on. Ooh, I love to dance a little sidestep. Ooh, I love to sweep around the white step. Cut a little swath and lead the people on.
I absolutely love that. As that was playing, I couldn't help but think of Siskel and Ebert doing the movie reviews, or who was it on NBC? Gene, whatever, had the big old handlebar mustache, and he would critique these things. And Bob, I guess we could have the Bob and Gary show where we show a movie and critique it and pull a clip out. But what do you think? What's your response to that? Just about that, Charles Durning stole the movie, stole that show with that little song and dance.
Charles Durning is a talent. Just did an incredible job in that role, and I think, dare I say, it reminds me a little bit of the current administration that's now running our country. You know,
there it is. Okay, there's the connection.
I had to jump into that and go there, but there's a lot of truth in that. You know,
but they don't dance. They don't dance and sing as well as Charles Durning.
No, not
did.
nearly as good. And you know, it's, I guess we could call it the party of joy right now. You know. You were talking earlier about the low information voters. That's what they're relying on. You know, they really their convention was geared towards probably a 5th or 6th grade mind. You know, and nothing really substantial. All that they could do was bash on Trump the entire convention, and didn't come up with anything substantial as to what they were going to do with the current state of a very miserable economy.
Yeah. Do you find that? I think that's a great point. As you were commenting, I'm thinking about, are people more content with a little song and dance rather than looking at the real issues that confront our nation? Because listen, we've got some serious issues facing our country, from the border to cost of living. You know, you just name it. It goes on, and unfortunately, it seems like a lot of politicians want to keep on voting the same policy or even double down on it. What in the world is happening to the United States of America?
Well, I just like to say we are in a transitional time, you know, and I've always said before that, you know, the last several elections we've had is the most important election in our lifetime. Well, guess what? this is the most important election in our lifetime, the one that's coming up, and it is critical. Come on. You've lived the last 3.5 years. That's all I have to say. You of those, unless you're a multi-millionaire, where finances is not of no concern to you, you've lived. And if you've lived in this economy, you know what's happened with the cost of gasoline, what's happened with the cost of food, what's happened with the cost of homes. Our military. I've got two really military age sons. One's getting ready to graduate and go into the military. He's at UK. And there was war, there's wars going on right now, 2 active wars. We are on the verge of a potential catastrophe as far as a nuclear war is concerned. And we literally have, dare I say, idiots that are trying to drive the bus right now. And forgive me for being so harsh in my statement, but we are in a state of chaos and turmoil. You talked about the border situation. They estimate, depending on who you talk to, conservatively, they estimate even the other side will give you
Brother Bob,
10 million.
Hold your passion there. We've got a short break coming up. And folks, stay tuned.
You got me
I'm
fired
talking
up.
with Bob Scott. We will be right back. Welcome back. I'm talking with the passionate Bob Scott. He was really going to town. And Bob, when I was younger, the older people would say if you were really passionate about a topic or a preacher was really preaching hard, they call it shucking the corn. And you were shucking the corn. And I understand that because you've got 2 sons are at that age.
Yes.
That if the current administration becomes the future administration,
God help us.
Right now, we have people will differ with me, but in my lifetime, I've seen 3 bad presidents: Jimmy Carter, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden. Some people won't like this, but if God forbid that if Harris gets elected, she will be without question the absolute worst in the history of our nation, and it will the Democrats will say Donald Trump is the end of democracy if Harris and Walz get in, 2 avowed socialists, communists. If they get in office, you want to talk about the end of democracy? Folks, our nation, the United States of America, is not a democracy. It is a constitutional republic. And it's about time that you, the citizens, start voting biblical values if you profess to be a Christian, and start putting in people that care about our country and about our children and our children's children. And for goodness sake, you care about Bob's boys and you want to make sure that they don't lose their life. What's happening to our nation right now, brother?
Well, it's been a state of deception, and I think there's many, many reasons for it. But there has been an us versus them mentality,
that's a great point,
going on in this country. And let me say this. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're a Republican. You have to vote for what's right, in our nation. That's why I honestly was very excited to see RFK Jr., suspend his campaign and publicly endorse Donald Trump. That's honestly one of the most courageous political things I have seen happen in my lifetime.
Yeah. Did you see how his family has excoriated him?
I see how they have responded. And again, they're going back to that mindset, Republicans are evil and Democrats, we're the party of light and we're the good guys. It's not the truth anymore. You could maybe make an argument in that direction when John Kennedy was our president, and then Bobby Kennedy, who in all likelihood would have been elected president and maybe even served 2 terms. And I'm talking about RFK Jr.'s dad. But it's not your grandfather's Democratic Party. It has turned in, and that's where he has shed light. I mean, it's just so incredible. When I watched Trump introduce him out in Arizona at that rally, and he came out, there was just an energy and a feeling. And I had goosebumps and some tears that came to my eyes, because this is a man that was saying, my party's not important, my personal feelings and my personal desires not important, my country is important.
But you know, Bob, I think that echoes back to what Ronald Reagan said, who had been a Democrat, and his comments, and it may not be verbatim, but he's saying the Democrat Party, I didn't leave the Democrat Party, the Democrat Party left me.
Yes.
And they left him on the side. And, you know, I appreciate your comment about RFK bringing to light some things. And here's something that you and we've chatted about a little bit in just personal, private conversations, and then also on your radio program there on 970 AM. And folks, you'll see that on the screen there, the radio station and the broadcast, the numbers for the radio station. When you mentioned about RFK Jr. bringing it to light, you're not only talking about, how can I say this? It's almost the corrupt manner. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just underhanded, the corrupt manner that they pushed him out of the Democrat process, and they coronated the worst vice president to become the nominee.
Yeah. How many votes she had in the primary?
Zero. Yeah.
Zero.
Well, and a lot of the social media, well, I shouldn't just blame social media, but a lot of the major news media, you remember Sarah Palin had called it the lamestream media when she was the running mate for John McCain, was pointing out, that's 15, 16 years ago now, maybe a little bit longer, about how the media pushes a narrative. And then, sadly, a lot of big corporations and social media giants are complicit in that. And here is an admission from Mark Zuckerberg. If you want to be very German about it, be Zuckerberg. But I don't think he's German. I don't know if he is or not, Bob. No. I know that the CEO of Harley
background, I believe.
Yeah, the CEO of Harley Davidson is a German man, and boy, he's under a lot of pressure because the true blues of Harley Davidson are saying, we don't want any of this woke stuff. Anyway, Zuckerberg has spoken to the House Judiciary Committee and made that the Biden-Harris administration pressured Facebook to censor Americans.
Something we all knew was going on.
Exactly. And then,
but he put it in
censoring
writing.
Americans.
He put it in writing, Gary, and sent it to the, like you said, the House Judiciary Committee, and I think Chairman Jordan specifically. And basically, he admitted that. He said, "Yep, we did it, and I'm disgusted, and that we listened to the Biden-Harris administration. We should not have done that, and we're not going to do it again." Now, that speaks something also deeper to me. Why is Zuckerberg doing that now, or Zuckerberg? I feel
just call him the Big Z.
The Big Z. I feel he's doing it, that he knows the Trump administration is getting ready to come in, and I just feel, I really do. Trump is going to win, and I think he's going to win decisively. Now I'm saying that, but that doesn't mean that folks that are supporting the efforts to get him elected need to be sitting on their hands. No, they need to get out, as you were talking about earlier, and get engaged and go and vote. You're voting for your future, your children's future, and your grandchildren's future with regard to it. And that was a big reason Bobby Kennedy jumped ship and knew that this was for a time such as this. If you go back to Esther 4.
Bob, what about the former Democrat Tulsi Gabbard?
That's another big one. And get this, Gary, there's going to be even more. RFK has already openly stated that there's going to be even more well-known Democrats that are going to be tossing their hat in the ring. And then here's the deal. It's not so much that they're supporting Donald Trump. They're supporting freedom in
There
our
it is.
country.
There it is. That's the issue.
And Trump has already promised that this will be a bipartisan, effort, that'll be going on from, people like, in fact, he's already named RFK Jr. to his transition staff, when he gets elected. And there'll be others. We've seen Elon Musk. Did you ever think Elon Musk would be coming out so hard?
Bob,
for him?
isn't that what the politics today are to look like? Yeah, you may have a different nuanced view of something,
yes,
but let's come together and agree on the core values. And
there's plenty
do what's
of
best.
Things I disagree with RFK Jr. on. He's a little bit wishy-washy, not a little bit, a lot wishy-washy on abortion. I'm a little concerned about his Second Amendment positions, but there's other issues that I know. He's solid as a rock on, and that's really the corporate takeover of a lot of our honestly our federal government.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, we talked about that on your radio show the other day. Folks, stay tuned. Talking with a good friend, Bob Scott. Get you a cup of Firebase coffee, sip it down. We'll be right back. Welcome back, friends. Thanks for taking the break to go get you some really good Firebase coffee. I hope that you did. That's one way that we keep this program going, is people that go to firebasecoffee.com and order what we think is some really good coffee. And we need to tell you, coffee prices are going up like everything else has over the past 3.5 years. Now, if that wasn't obvious enough or subtle enough, let me say it like this. Tonight's show, we've been talking about the wrong direction of our country. And I showed a video clip with the great Charles Durning doing song and dance. We've spoken about politicians who do a song and dance. We've shared with you what we think and we know is the wrong direction for our country. We need to make a change. And if we don't, Bob, I hate to sound so dramatic here. If we elect the Harris folks, I really believe that's going to be the end of what we know as what I grew up in as the United States of America, the land of opportunity. What?
Well, 100%, Gary, and that's the reason why we were talking about RFK Jr. jumping on the Trump train, if you will. He sees that too. We didn't even talk yet about the weaponization of our judicial system against political opponents. Well, that's clearly happened, and that's only something that ever happens in a totalitarian country, but it's actually happening in this country against a former president. And these types of things, you were talking about the price of coffee going up. Well, I'm sitting here looking at what's happened in the last 3.5 years. Gas prices on the average are around $2 a gallon when Trump was in office. They're now hovering around $4. Come down a little bit because, again, we know the election's coming up. The average cost of rent has doubled, more than doubled. We've seen grocery prices. They were running at about a 3.5% increase clip under President Trump. Now they're at there's been a 25% increase. And I think that it's even more than that, from some of the things that I've seen and heard. We know the electricity bill has skyrocketed. You can go down the list, one item after another. And I think back to James Carville when he was advising a successful run for Bill Clinton in 92. It came down to, it's the economy, stupid. And that's, I think, what Americans need to center in. I think as we get closer to Election Day, you're going to see the Trump campaign get more to that.
I was looking at, while you were talking, Bob, and I wasn't distracted. I was trying to look up something because the weaponization, there was a woman, and I saw it the only time I look at Fox News is when I look up to see headlines. And there was a woman that was at a city council meeting, and she was talking against the policies of the city council. And the mayor had her arrested So you can't speak
This
against
is America, people.
I know. And I just pulled up this. I don't know what this is, but here's an article. We've only got a minute left. It says Kroger and other retailers charging fees for cash back at registers. And everything. And it's like Kroger, Dollar General, Dollar Tree. They're that for people that get cash back on things, they're charging a baseline for whatever, I don't know, I guess getting money back. And it's like, it's on their debit card, or they're trying to get cash back from their debit card. They're charging an extra fee. Folks, you know what? We spoke about low information voters. Don't be a low information voter. Bob, you got about 20 seconds to wrap it up.
Well, just real quick, don't be a low information voter. Just look at your pocketbook. That's all I'm going to leave you with. Look at your pocketbook. And if you can honestly say you're better off today than you were 3.5 years ago, then go vote for Harris. But I'm going to say 99.9% of you can't say that. You need to go make a vote for President Trump and J.D. Vance.
Amen. Absolutely. Folks, thanks for tuning in and watching my guest, my passionate guest, Passionate Bob Scott. Until next week, we look forward to seeing you again right here at Firebase.